In this lecture, we are going to study about input and output in C++. So we will see how to take input and also give output in C++ programming language. Alright, so let's get started. So coming to input and output in C++, the C++ language does not define any statements to do input or output. So by default, C++ language does not define any statement for doing the input or output. Then how do we do input or output in C++? Instead, C++ includes an extensive standard library that provides input-output and many other facilities. So though C++ language does not have or define any statements to do input and output, it is having something known as a standard library. Now what is a standard library? It is an extensive library that provides many facilities, and one of them is the input-output facility. So using the standard library from C++, we are going to do the input and output. So we will see how to do that. So for the purpose of input and output, we will make use of something known as the Iostream library. So Iostream stands for Input Output Stream, and remember, this is a library that is a part of the standard library that we have in C++. So this is the one that will provide us with the facilities for doing input and output. So we will see how it is done. So coming to the Iostream library is made up of two types. One is the Istream and other one is the Ostream. So that is why IO. So what is the Istream? Istream is the input stream that is used for taking inputs. And Ostream, it stands for output stream that is used for giving outputs. And now we understood I is input and O is output. Now what is this stream? What do we mean by stream? So stream is nothing but a sequence of characters read from or written to an input-output device. So any sequence of characters that we are writing to or reading from an input-output device is known as a stream. Now I hope you understood what is the meaning of input stream and output stream. So these two make up the Iostream library. Okay, so we have understood the Iostream library. Now how is actually input and output done? Let's see that. So the standard input and output objects is what will help us to actually do the input and output. So let's see what are they. So the Iostream library defines 4 input-output objects. Let's see what they are. Number 1, we have CIN, which is pronounced as CIN. So we call this as CIN, and this is used for standard input. So it stands for console input and we pronounce it as CIN, and this is the object that we are going to use for taking inputs. And then secondly, we have COUT, which we pronounce as Cout, and it stands for console output, and this is the standard output object. So this object is what is going to help us for giving the outputs. Then we have CERR, pronounced as CER, which is the standard error object. Now this is used for standard errors. And then the last one is CLOG, which is pronounced as CLOG, and this is used for general information like log information and all. Okay, so the most important two things here are CIN and COUT. So the CIN, this is of the type Istream. So we said that Istream and Ostream, they are types in the Iostream library. So we have discussed about what is types already in one of the previous lectures. So the CIN is actually an object of the Istream type. So that's what you have to remember. And then Cout, CER and CLOG, they are all of the type Ostream. So again, Ostream is a type that is there in the Iostream library, and then the Cout, CER and CLOG, they are objects of the type Ostream. So these are the main objects that we need to keep in mind: CIN, Cout, CER and CLOG. And CIN and Cout are the most important ones and the most common ones that we are going to extensively use in this course as well. So let's take an example program making use of this CIN and Cout in order to see how they work and how their syntax looks like and how We have to write it in a C++ code. So coming to this example, here we have written a complete code, a complete program, and here we see that the first line is include Iostream. So here we see that the first line is include Iostream, then int main, then we see here std, and then we see that we have two colons, and then it's written here cout, and we have two angle brackets, and within quotes it is written enter two numbers, and we close the quotes, and here again we have these two angle brackets, and it's written here std and colon end l, and then semicolon. And here we have int n1 equal to 0, n2 equal to 0, then std cin n1, n2, and then std cout, the sum of n1 and n2 is n1 plus n2, std endline again and return 0. So let us see what are the meanings of all these things written in this program. So let's start from the top itself. So here it is written hash include, and within angle brackets it is written Iostream. So what is this? This is the header. In every C++ program we will be mentioning the header. So Iostream is the header that we are going to make use here, and Iostream is the one that contains the library that enables the cout and cin and all those objects. So that is why we have to include this Iostream library. So I'm telling my compiler that include this Iostream header in my program. Then here we have int main. So what is this? This is the main function. So we have already discussed about main function. So every C++ program will be having a main function. So here we have a main function and the return type is int. So we have also seen about this in the previous lectures. Okay. Then next, here we see within this curly braces, the body of that function is there. The function body is over here. So this is what is actually going to perform the operation, whatever is going to be done. So let's see. So here we have std cout. So what is this? This is the standard output object. So we already studied that cout is the standard output object. Now why am I writing std cout? Now std is the standard library. So as we already said in the beginning of this lecture, C++ does not define any statements for doing input or output, but it includes an extensive library that is a standard library. So this cout is actually present within the standard library. So we are telling that use the cout that is present in the standard library. And this colon that we see here, this is known as the scope operator. So we are telling that use the cout that is within the scope of the standard library. So this cout is going to print something on the screen. Now here we see these two angle brackets that are opening to the right. So this is the output operator. So after cout you have to write this output operator, and after that only you have to mention what you have to print. Okay. Now here it is written enter two numbers. So this is the string literal. That means the actual thing that we are going to print on the screen, and it has to be written within this double quotes. So whatever is written within this double quotes in a cout statement will be printed on the screen as it is. So this is the string literal that will be printed. And here we see again we have this output operator, and it is written here std end l. Now what is this? This is actually a manipulator. Now what do we mean by manipulator? So we see that this is a string and it is just manipulating the stream. So we are actually trying to print something as a stream on the screen, and this manipulator ENDL stands for end line. So it is manipulating the stream and it is taking the control to the next line. So if you write ENDL, then it will break from this line and come to the next line on the screen. So that is what we mean by ENDL. And again we see that std is written here. Why? Because this ENDL is also defined inside the std library or the standard library. So we are saying that use the end line that is within the scope of the